Hey guys, good to see everyone. We'll be getting started here in 1 minute, and thanks everyone for being on. We're gonna have a good time and enjoy the presentation, and really, take notes. And I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Take notes and really try to apply a couple things that Tracy's gonna be talking about tonight. I've seen her present a very similar one to this, and it's amazing. She's got some really cool videos she's gonna be sharing with you too. So, all right, we're gonna get started.
Nice to see you, Carrie, from up north.
Okay, well, we'll get started tonight. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for coming out on a not-so-ideal evening. My name is Dustin. I'm one of the trainers here at the Transformation Center, and who was here last month for Tracy's presentation? So, good. So we have about, so that's nice. So you got a lot of people tonight. Who has never heard Tracy speak before? Let's see. Excellent. Awesome. Well, Tracy and I have been friends for about 9-10 years now. We've known each other since basically college, and we've built a great friendship as well as a business relationship as well, and I think she's knows her nutrition better than anybody else in Madison that I've ever come across. And she's really branched out, though, into other things, not just nutritionally based. And she really looks at the whole person. And I think that's a really good way to do it. We try to do that here at the Transformation Center. It's not just about getting your butts kicked workout-wise and getting all sore. It's about eating the right foods, spending time with the right people, thinking the right thoughts. And she's really just branched out into a lot of awesome areas. And I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. I've heard part of this presentation before, and it's really great. She's got some really awesome videos. I can't wait for you guys to see as well. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and then right at the end, I'll wrap things up. And we've got lots of people. We have almost 200 people that are online who joined us online. So you guys, welcome, and it's good to see you guys. And thanks for tuning in tonight. And take it away, Tracy.
So I have a question for all of you. Let Emily get settled all online. So I'm going to ask this question. If you could rank your stress levels right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, what would you rate them at? So I want you to actually take your piece of paper, and I realize I have some pens over in the corner there. If you don't, Dustin, you can grab it.
Anybody need a pen?
I want you to write down the number that you would rank your at in that scale of 1 to 10. So I would even ask the people that are at home, sitting in front of their computers, to get out their pens also and write that number down. So for those of you here in the room, I want you to keep your hand up if you're stressed. I want everyone to raise their hand. Okay? And put your hand down if your stress level is 5 or below. Okay, 6 or below. 7 or below. Okay, that's what 7 it looks like, and then we have 8. Okay, 9, 10. Okay, I would say 7 to 11. We got a 12. We got a 15. I am so glad you're here. So I would say in general, a majority of the room is at a 7 or higher. You guys would agree with that if we looked around. So what I think is interesting about stress in general, I love this little graphic of the zebra. I think it's stress. He's so stressed he's losing his stripes. That the American Institute of Stress says that 75 to 90% of all doctor visits are related to stress. Raise your hand if you believe that. I see a lot of people here at home. I don't know if you're agreeing with that, but I really think it's true the more and more I've worked with people over the years. And another interesting thing I think about this slide in general is that we have an American Institute of Stress. I mean, just think about the fact that we have a whole institute dedicated to studying stress and how it affects us. So I think that tells us a lot about the state of America today, and how stress can play into it. So before I get going and give you kind of all the details, is it okay if I give you a little bit of my background? That half the room that hadn't really heard me speak before, and we've got a lot of people online. Is that okay with everyone? So I wanted to put a picture of myself up here, and this was a little bit after Dustin and I had met about 10 years ago. So I think I look a little bit different now. For those of you who haven't seen this picture, I was about 35 pounds heavier than I am now. And just a little bit about my history. I used to be a track athlete. So my mindset was I was going to work it off later. How many of you come into the Transformation Center ate that you know you shouldn't have because you're going to work it off later? Only one of you liars. You got 3 out of 6 on the whole room. But I did have that mindset that I was going to be on the track, 20 hours a week, so it didn't matter what I ate. And at that time, I really didn't have weight issues. However, I got a scholarship to run track in college. In my freshman year, I was diagnosed with something called endometriosis, which is a female hormone imbalance that I ended up having to have surgery on 2 softball-sized cysts on my ovaries. And they put me on meds that put me in the menopause at age 20. That same med did this. I gained a lot of weight. I was having 20 hot flashes a day. I was just miserable. Lost my track scholarship, and I was 20, and I didn't really want to live the rest of my life like that. So that's when I decided to pursue a degree eventually in becoming a holistic nutritionist. So I have a master's degree in holistic nutrition. I'm not a registered dietitian. I just like people to know that. But my background is looking at the whole person. So I found out I had thyroid problems and digestive issues and high estrogen, just a bunch of stuff that I now can say that has been completely resolved. And when you have estrogen dominant issues and endometriosis, one of the common things you hear is you won't be able to have kids. So I like to always just show a little picture. It's my little girl in her kitchen pretending like she's making some stuff that I fully recovered from all of those things. However, as Dustin said, I was just doing nutrition with my clients and realizing that some of my clients were eating the best diets and they weren't getting better. What do you think one of the contributing factors was? Stress. So that's why I decided to pursue a degree in certification in life coaching, because our health is so much more about just what we put in our body and how we move. And so I'm going to be sharing tonight with you how that works. That's kind of how your body responds to stress. Not only how it responds, but how you think about stress actually impacts how your body responds to it. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. What are your 2 main stress hormones? We're going to get a little science in here, just for a minute. 2 major stress hormones. Cortisol, I heard, and adrenaline. Good job. So the first one I'm going to talk about is adrenaline. It's all good. I'm not stressed about it. I'm only stressed about it.
Yeah.
Okay, no. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So our 2 major stress hormones, I heard adrenaline and cortisol. So I want to talk about adrenaline first, because I want you to think of adrenaline as your fight hormone. So I always like to picture myself driving down the highway and someone cuts you off. We all know that adrenaline rush that I'm talking about, right? Can everyone kind of picture what happens in your body when that situation occurs? How do you feel? Your heart rate goes up, absolutely. What you say?
Angry.
Angry, you feel it, yes. The emotion is that someone just cut you off. So in order to feel that emotion, where does your blood flow go? It goes, to your face and it turns red. Actually, in adrenaline type fight situations, your blood flow is going to go to your extremities. So it's going to go to your brain because it helps your brain think quickly. It's also going to go to your hands and your feet because you need to move quickly. What do you think happens to your digestive tract when all your blood flow goes away from there and into your extremities? It slows down. Do you see why that's probably a good thing? It's not thinking about doing some business when you're trying to avoid the heart. Don't say more than that. So that's a natural. I'm going to show you this picture here and come back to the cortisol thing. But your blood vessels constrict, your heart's going to beat, your digestive enzymes, they decrease, and your muscles become tense, ready to fight. Your pupils dilate, your breathing quickens. Do you see how all this is helping you react quickly? In that situation, is it a good thing? Okay. What happens if you are put in this state, putting your body in this state all the time, or multiple times a day? Think that's good or bad? It's bad. And unfortunately, that's what the modern American is doing today. by the lifestyle that we're leading, by the choices that we're making, and by the thoughts we're thinking, we're putting our body in a constant state of thinking we need to fight. And we also have the second hormone that comes into play called cortisol. How many of you have heard of cortisol? I've heard some late night infomercials, high cortisol, high belly fat. Okay? Let me give you a quick lesson in some hormone stuff, is that adrenaline burns body fat for fuel. But what do you think cortisol burns for fuel? Muscle. So when you're in long states of high stress, your body switches from adrenaline mode to cortisol mode. And when you get into that place, your body ends up lowering your metabolism because it's burning your muscle tissue for fuel. So that's when people come to me and say, I've got all this weight around my stomach and I can't lose it. A lot of times that indicates to me that their cortisol levels are pretty jacked up. Make sense to everybody? So these are our two main stress hormones. And we talked about in the body what happens when we're in a constant state of stress, when it's thinking that we're having to fight. And we can honestly see breakdown in our body. So this says, you know when you're stressed, when your nail biting gets out of hand. So sometimes people's stress is directly linked to behavior. Nail biting. Has anyone ever here eaten some food because they're stressed? Yeah. Well, two people. I know you guys are lying. All the time. So we can have behaviors like, those can be symptoms when we're eating. But stress can also lead to insomnia. Or almost at the other end, you don't even want to get out of bed because you don't even know what to do anymore. So depression, anxiety, we have symptoms, now they're linking heart disease and all sorts of chronic inflammation to having your body constantly outputting these high levels of stress hormones. So we see all sorts of breakdowns. I see it in actually another one that's really interestingly related to high stress is high cholesterol. Because your body makes cortisol, that stress hormone, out of your cholesterol. And so when people are going under really stressful situations, oftentimes their body responds by making more cholesterol so you can make more cortisol. Has anyone ever heard that before? No. It's a pretty interesting kind of correlation there. So our body is amazing at adapting to our stress, but if it's under stress long enough, we really start seeing breakdown. So those are some of the symptoms of stress. What do you guys think some of the main sources of stress are in our lives? Work. Children. Yes. Money and financials. Yes. I put time, like the time management. We feel like we have more things to do than time that we have. Any other sources of stress? Aging parents, yes, that is a huge one for my clients. Some of them that are taking care of aging parents and kids at home, having to balance that, or even if it's just aging parents. What did you say? Politics. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that can cause stress in our lives. And I wanted to show you this slide because I think it's pretty interesting. So it says, sometimes I sit and think about every stupid thing I've ever done all at once. With a blanket over her head. And this illustrates the fact of how much of our internal dialogue can also cause stress to our bodies. We're going to be talking about the science of that in a little bit. But can anyone sometimes relate to how focusing on not good stuff can actually stress you out a little bit? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So based on that last slide about how what you're thinking about can actually affect your physical body, how you think about stress, I'm going to play a video from something called TED Talks. Many of you have heard of a TED Talk before. Okay, about half the room. TED Talks are just usually 10 to 15 minute videos from an expert in the field. And I love this TED Talk, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. But this is the research that has actually been done at UW-Madison on how what you think about stress actually impacts your body's response to it. Okay? What do you guys think of that? Does that surprise anybody? Yeah, because like she said, I had to change the seminar that I'm doing today because of what I used to tell people about how to deal with stress. Because we can all agree that when we are under a lot of stress, it can do physical things. Like she said, and research points to that. However, I was shocked when I heard that really, it's if you think stress is bad, does it become bad for your health? So what do you think, based on that information, our greatest weapon against stress is?
Positive self-talk.
Positive self-talk. I just use it, is our ability to choose one thought over the other. It all has to do with our thinking. Does that make sense to everybody? It all has to do with how we're thinking about how stress impacts. So in a follow-up email that I'm going to send tomorrow, for those of you who are here, I'm going to send a link to this full TED Talk. So it's about 15 minutes long, and it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. So I'd encourage you to look at the whole thing because she talks about some other very interesting stuff that leads to stress. But how many of you have ever spoken publicly before or had to get up in front of people? What happens to your pits? They get a little, I don't know how bad mine are right now, they get a little, that you get a little sweaty. I mean, that's how your body responds to stress. So she talks about in those situations, instead of thinking that stuff is bad, that we need to start thinking and like thanking our body for responding, because when our adrenaline is up just a little bit in situations like this, it helps us think clearly. It helps us focus on our topic. It helps us react to questions. So it's actually your body doing a good thing. Now, if I was like, oh, I can't believe, I hate these symptoms that I get when I get a little excited about talking, it actually is going to tell your blood vessels biochemically to constrict. And so when we get constricted blood vessels, what is that leading down the road to?
High blood pressure.
High blood pressure, all those heart conditions that are often related to stress in general. So with that said, I encourage you to watch her whole entire video that I'll send you the link to tomorrow. But it's really transformed the way I look at stress and how I teach about stress. Because you have to know that this is stress less habit number 1, what you think about growth. What you think about growth. We don't realize that our thoughts actually take up mental real estate in our brains. I like to think of our thoughts as trees. And if you have healthy trees, they're going to be green and beautiful, right? But if you are constantly, almost watering those trees with negative thoughts, what do you think is going to happen to those healthy trees? They're going to wither and die. And in that follow-up email, I'm also going to send you a picture that I just found recently, and I should have put it in here, but I forgot, of what a negative thought looks like in the brain. I actually have a picture of it.
Wow.
And it looks like this dead, nasty, dark spot in the midst of a bunch of things that look like trees. And science is now showing that when you are focusing on negative things, it actually changes your brain. But guess what? When you focus on positive things, what happens? You actually change your brain. Your brain. So your thoughts take up mental real estate. That's kind of what I want you to get out of this idea. And what you focus on grows. So if you're constantly watering those trees with negative thoughts, it actually changes your brain chemistry and changes how your brain functions. And for example, fear. How many of you have been afraid in your life? Fear is known to have over 1,400 different chemical reactions in the body. And those chemical reactions, so when we think fearful thoughts, I was just meeting with a client today, and we were talking about why can she not, she wants to be healthy, make healthy choices, but she's stuck. We came to the conclusion that her fear of failure, not being good enough, just this fear is just like chaining her down. And every time she tries to step forward, that fear, and guess what? That thought is constantly sending messages to her adrenal glands to pump out what? To pump out those hormones that we were talking about. Fear. When you're in fear, what happens to your heart? It's, you know, we get all those symptoms that I showed you. So if you're in a constant state of fear, you create brain chemistry pathways that go there quicker to raising your stress hormones. So that's just a quick example of how fear specifically can affect somebody. And she was talking about how she just feels inflamed all over. And that's what those stress hormones can do over time. So what you focus on grows. You all have a little handout, hopefully, of a tree. This on the back of the front sheet there. It has 1, 2, 3. So the idea with this sheet is to start changing your mind on what you're thinking about. So I actually want to take just 2 or 3 minutes, and what I encourage my clients to do is write down 3 things, whether 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that are going well in your life, 3 positive things. So if you think about those trees, I want you to pick 3 things that would not be putting toxic water on those trees, about what's going on in your life. And I encourage them to start their day out by focusing on 3 good things. So just think about how well your day is going to go, focusing on 3 good things versus 3 bad things. So many of my clients get out of bed and they're pressing snooze 5 times. Oh, another day. And all this stuff just starts rolling through their head. What I also want to encourage you to know is that you have control over what you're thinking. Most people don't realize that. They just say, thoughts just pop in my head. I have no control over it. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I like to think of it as taking your thoughts captive. So when I have a thought, I take it captive and I hold it up. And I think, is this something that is good water or toxic water for my trees? And is it good or bad? If it's bad, I probably don't want to be letting it continue to go. Does that make sense? So, super important to know that you have complete control over your thoughts, even though you don't think you might. And when you're planting good things, it can change your body chemistry and can change your health. So, I want us all to write down at least one thing. Let's start practicing this. One thing that's positive or that's going well in your life that you could write down for day 1 on your sheet. Those of you who don't like to participate, I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. I'm going to ask you to do it anyway because this is not going to hurt. It's for your health. And if you need a pen, I think that's good for everyone. Okay, let's got some pen. All right, so I'm going to have some people shout out what they wrote down, if you're willing to share. Healthy and happy children. That's great. Thank you. What else is a good thing? My son is in revision. Oh, that's great. See? Awesome. Thank you. About strong marriage. You have a strong marriage. That is something to celebrate. Yes. Career. Things are going well. Yeah, you have a job, career. Yes. Great. Friends network. K2. Shout out to K2 around here. You have a community of people. Anybody else? Volunteer work. That you're doing some volunteer. That's great. But isn't it feel good to hear those things come in other people's mouth that good things are going on? Yeah. So what you focus on grows. So I'm going to challenge you guys to do this for a week. Fill it out every morning, not before you go to bed. I want you to do it right when you get up. Or if you do it before you go to bed, I want you to at least read it and plant those seeds in your brain in the morning. I want to see if you notice a difference in how your week goes. Who's willing to take the week challenge? Most of you, good. Okay. Let's stress less. Habit number 1 is what you focus on grows. All right, so we've got stress less habit number 2, and I'm gonna play another video. Hopefully this is sitting here. So just bear with me.
This is one of my favorite videos of all time.
Okay, you guys ready?
Every year, every day, thousands of people. Every year, every day, each month of the week, thousands, millions, even hundreds of people continue to.
There's a part 2. Part 2, if you want to watch it on YouTube. And I'll send that link out tomorrow, also. So number 2 of your stress less habit is get some perspective. And I've used this, so I first heard about FWP. How many of you have seen that video before I showed it? A couple of you. I was doing some gardening with my neighbor, and she was complaining about her back. And she's like, but it's such an FWP. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, it's a first world problem. I hurt my back at the gym. Like, who hurts their back at the gym anywhere else in the world besides America? So that's when I first heard about it, and I was like, and then I came across this video. And I've used this over and over in my life since then to get my head out of my own you-know-what. When I need it. Yeah.
Are you sending the link to this video?
Yeah. And so I think just a great, so my best friend is actually my assistant in my business. And we went to launch our last cookbook, and guess what happened just after we sent out the email to thousands of people? It was ready.
It wasn't ready.
It was ready, but the computer crashed, our website crashed just on that instant. So we're getting phone calls and emails, and she just simply texts over to me FWP. And I was like, that's good, because it actually, I was like, you're right. This is not the end of the world. As I was sitting there maybe saying stuff I shouldn't and sweating and, that this is something that really can like ground us. I'm just gonna just share one more thing and make myself a little vulnerable. I was walking up the stairs on Saturday hearing the dryer stop, and I was like, oh God, I gotta do laundry, complaining about that in my head. After I just spent Saturday at a retreat, and we did a project for this this organization called Soul Hope, like the soles of your feet. And what they do is they make shoes for kids in Uganda that that have a problem called jiggers. Anyone heard of jiggers before? They're basically, most of you haven't, are parasites that embed into these kids' feet, hatch a bunch of eggs, and they infect their feet to the point where the kids can no longer walk, paralysis. I mean, it is horrible. They were showing pictures, and this organization has you cut patterns out of jeans, and you assemble these kits, and you send them over there for $10, and they pay someone over there a living wage to assemble these shoes to give to kids, because guess what solves the jigger problem? Shoes. So in that moment, when we're talking about taking our thoughts captive, that just popped in my head. Like, I am sitting here complaining about having to do laundry in my head with the socks and, and all the stuff that goes with laundry, after I just did that earlier today and saw a video of these poor kids that don't even have shoes. So honestly, we are so lucky to live where we live that we need to get out of our own heads sometimes. And this is the perfect thing. So get a buddy that's going to FWP you when you need to hear Most of our problems are really FWPs, but we let them become these things that actually affect our health and our bodies. This is a great video to watch with kids. I have a lot of clients. I mean, mine's too little to at this point, but I'm an FWPer someday. Is to share this idea with your family. And when you're feeling really stressed, sometimes this is a good reminder to kind of ground you. Is anyone else willing, as I'm talking about this, to share an FWP that just popped in their head? Yes.
My husband is a very no-nonsense person.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't deal with nonsense.
Yeah.
He gives you an option.
Yeah.
And he tells you the options there, that he'll support you and encourage you as much as you need. But that's what he wants to hear. Yeah. I mean, he's very very much so. Like
So that reminded you of kind of an FWP. He's not going to let you get away with complaining about stuff.
Yep. And going on a self-pity,
Pity
self-pity sale.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else kind of come up with one? There's lots of great ones on mine, like my shampoo ran out before my conditioner. Any of you have been frustrated, ladies? Make the conditioner bottle smaller than the shampoo bottle. So, is this helpful? The perspective video? Yes. I want you to take this seriously, because I think half of our problems really aren't that big of a deal. We just let them become bigger than what they are. Okay, so stress less habit number 3. Bear with me here. Here we go. Okay, yay. All right. All right, less habit number 3 is plan your day before it begins. One of the biggest things that I run into with clients that are trying to be healthier is that's getting in the way. The biggest roadblock is lack of planning. Because our society is not set up to be healthy. Does anyone else agree? Food choices, movement choice, all of that, where most of us are sitting at a desk, and the vending machine is right down the way from where we are. So if we do not plan our day before it begins, or have some sort of plan, especially with food, if I'm going to talk about nutrition here, and I think Dustin always says, and sometimes before the presentations, that what is it, Dustin? How much is food? 80%. So I'm going to go with what he said. But 80% of your health comes from food. Movement's important too. But if you're eating junk, it's hard to exercise off a bad diet. So I just have some suggestions here. Is writing out your to-do list before you go to bed. How many of you sometimes wake up in the middle of the night? You've got all those things, like get it on paper before you even go to bed. So it's just off your mind. Because this sentence is always very true. Fail to plan, plan to fail. How many of you heard that before and think it's true? Right. So I'm going to send you along in that email tomorrow as a meal planning worksheet. It helps you plan out your weekly meals along with on the top part of grocery list. So you're creating your grocery list and planning out your meals. And I have a meal planning worksheet that I will also send, or just meal planning tips, like cooking in bulk. How many of you cook a bunch of stuff on the weekends and then, is it stressful when you don't? More stressful, right? Yeah, so if you can get in the habit, I always, whenever I cook, like say chili, I double the recipe. So then I freeze half of it. So I've got a freezer full of options right now. So I wasn't home tonight for dinner and I asked my husband, do you want the chicken wild rice soup or do you want chili? That's because they're both in the freezer. And then he could tell me what he wanted. So I know he's eating healthy when I'm not home. So cooking in bulk is extremely helpful. Planning ahead, bringing your snacks with you, those types of things can really be what helps you be successful in this or helps you, be that wishful thinker that I really want to change, but I'm not making the choices.
My husband loves these nuts because he can go to pizza and mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. You need to get some chili in the freezer, sister. Is there any planning tips or kind of planning tips that have helped them to be successful in the area of just being healthy or eating healthy?
For baby food, what I did with my children was I would get ice trays and I would put like the meats and they would have like one serving, 1 cube of meat, 1 cube of vegetable, and 1 cube of rice or whatever. And that was a meal. I also did that with my grandmother. She was a little here.
Yeah.
And when she saw that stuff going off of the plate, it looked like it was a success. Because when you're in the nursing home and they put so much food on it, they just look at it and get overwhelmed because it doesn't look like they even tried to eat it when they've eaten, like half of it. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so even using freezer stuff with kids and freezer is really the key if you guys have one. It should be on your Christmas list. Is a big freezer for storing extra stuff. So I'll give you some tools in that follow-up email on how to do that. Does anyone else have any suggestions of things that have worked for them? I know people are messaging online.
I've asked. I haven't.
Yeah, you haven't heard anything.
Not yet.
Have your refrigerator full of healthy options. Guess what, everyone? You have to go to the grocery store. I'm just saying. I have a couple clients that are like, I only go to the grocery store once a month. How much fresh food can you get if you're going only once a month? Weekly is ideal. Weekly to at least bi-weekly.
The tip of, the comment about preparing things when you get home from the store, washing them, cutting them up, so it's grab and go and not tucked back in the frozen.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion that right when you get home from grocery shopping that you wash the veggies, prep them so that they don't get, how many of you open that drawer and you're like, oh, I forgot that was in there. So that helps prevent that. It's great.
We just did wild tree workshop.
Okay, yeah, so the bulk meal planning workshops with friends can be really
Divided up in a couple meals. Yep. The thing is remembering to take it out of the freezer.
freezer. So gotta remember that. It's easier stuff than having to make it. It's taking out of the freezer. Yeah, one more suggestion.
Herbs or anything other than but I have the luxury of living close enough that if there is an emergency, I can get some quickly that prevents me.
As she said, kind of keep, did you say you're just carrying?
Yeah, I can carry like an
Emergency kind of credit card situations, not having cash. That's one of my husband always gives me his spare change because if I get this in my pocket, I'm gonna make bad choices. So just keeping easy access to money for convenience out of the picture.
I like this one. Amy wrote in that they have a 30-day menu that they use. They wrote out 30 things we like to eat and that we do every month. It takes the guesswork out, and I know how to make my grocery list and spend less money then too. Definitely alleviates stress in that department. So.
Yeah, planning, she's talking about planning like a whole month at a time, but sitting down with the family, if you have family, and actually talking about what meals you all like, and then using the monthly calendar as a planning tool, that's awesome. Great. Okay, so stress less habit number 4, we're gonna finally talk about food a little bit more here. So some of you, a few of you actually here came last time, maybe some people that are tuning in online heard my last presentation on Nutrition 101, which is a whole hour and a half talk on food. So we're going to be sending that link out if people want to watch it in that follow-up email that I've been mentioning tomorrow. So I'm only going to be touching on some brief stuff tonight that I think is important in regards to stress. But if you want more of that full, long nutrition talk, you can easily access that on the link we sent tomorrow for free. So eat clean throughout the day, or eat clean and then keep your blood sugar stable. So when I think about what I'm gonna put in my body, I think of my body as a vehicle that I'm driving through life. And if I'm gonna feel good and move well, I have to put what kind of fuel in? Good, healthy fuel. And these are the 2 simple rules that I use to determine whether or not I'm going to put that food in my fuel. One of them was, do you know what the ingredient, if you don't know what the ingredient is, should you be eating it? And number 2 is if your great-grandmother did not know what the food was, so I call it the 100-year-old rule. If it wasn't around about 100 years ago, you probably shouldn't eat it. The average grocery store today has 47,000 foods in it. And I would say less than 10% of them follow these 2 rules. A majority of them are breaking these 2 rules left and right. It's just, we have junk. I call it frankenfood. You look at the labels and you have no idea what that food is. I use the analogy, just imagine if you pulled up to a gas station and the tanks were not labeled. You didn't know what you were putting in your car, your vehicle. What'd you do with it? No. But how many of us take better care of our vehicles than we do our own bodies? How many, we can trade in our car. We only get one chance at this. So I encourage you to read books. All the recipes in my cookbooks that I have are follow the great-grandmother rules. And there are even treat recipes that are okay to have on the kitchen that taste really good. It doesn't have to be horrible to eat this way. But these are 2 rules that I think will transform the way that you shop if you started following them. How many of you have started looking at labels or have looked at labels before? What kind of things did you notice when you actually started looking at what goes in the food, not just the fat and the calories?
MSG.
MSG, yeah. Does anyone know what MSG is? Monosodium glutamate, yeah. Corn syrup, there's a lot of that stuff. There's going to be 3 foods that we're going to find in a majority of our processed foods or byproducts of these 3 main foods. Does anyone know what they are?
Sugar.
Wheat, corn, and soy. Yep, and byproducts of all of those. And I think I'm going to use this example in the last talk, but go look at your cottage cheese labels. There's corn in most all of your cottage cheese. Maltodextrin. Not Daisy, right. Yep, not Daisy. Daisy, and there's a couple other brands that don't have additives and thickeners and gums and maltodextrin and a bunch of stuff you don't even know what it is.
I don't eat this way, but my husband had some frozen dinner one night and he had cooked it. I got home and I was just looking and I go, oh, I took the box out of the garbage, I cut out the ingredients and I have it stuck on the side of my refrigerator. And I said, what is that? You know, and people will come over and they see it. And I said, what is that? And it has this whole list of ingredients. You have no idea what that was. Right? It was some frozen meal. So that's our reminder.
That's our reminder to start thinking about what you're eating. Yeah, it's so important. And so we want to put, if you're constantly putting chemicals in your body, don't you think that's going to put a little stress on your system? So when we're talking about stress, we want to think about that food can play an impact. But the other thing that really stresses out our vehicles or our bodies is imbalances in our blood sugar. Okay, so I wanted to just walk through this just for a second here. That when you get, say you ate the standard American breakfast with a bowl of cereal, a glass of milk, and some orange juice or a banana. What do you think happens to that person's blood sugar when they eat that combination? It spikes. All of that is carbohydrate. It's a bunch of carbohydrate. So you get a blood sugar spike and then you get a crash. Now I want to talk, when your blood sugar is low and crashed, you have a hormonal response. What happens hormonally when you have low blood sugar, do you think? What hormones increase when your blood sugar is low? Cortisol and adrenaline. Yeah, depends on kind of where your body's state is at. But it raises your stress hormones. We have already got enough other things that can do that. So when we've got blood sugars that are going all over the place, we constantly are going to get swings in your stress hormones. So long term, this creates a situation for diabetes type 2 that can be completely avoidable with diet and exercise. So we in general are still a country addicted to carbs. How many of you like carbohydrates? Yeah, we you know, it's just, they're fun, they're easy, they taste good. But however, we've created a situation that we are, I think 75 million Americans that are diabetic and pre-diabetic, which is nuts because we can completely avoid that with what we're choosing to eat. So when I talk to my clients about 2 simple things that they can do to totally change their blood sugar response besides eating real food, is don't eat carbohydrates by themselves and don't eat protein alone. This is going to be a refresher from the talk I did about a month ago, but it's so important. And I work with clients for months and months and months, and I see it takes a long time to really get this and do it consistently. So even if you heard this last time, I'd like to know how it's been going. Has anyone tried this? For those of you who were here last time, or that I've worked with in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, it really works great. I mean, I used to have like in the afternoon, I'm getting really tired and feel like I need to take a nap.
Yeah.
And all of them now.
Doesn't have it. Yeah, so she said she's been trying to balance her protein and carbs. In the afternoon, she would want to take a nap every day. Now that doesn't happen anymore. When your blood sugar is low, you're sleepy, you're hangry, hungry and angry. You have cravings. What kind of foods do you crave? Carbs, sweets, junk food. I lose my focus and concentration. Some people get nauseous. Some people get headaches. And also, if you have a pattern of imbalanced blood sugars throughout the day, I have a lot of clients that wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with that busy, crazy mind going on, because guess what happens to your stress hormones? They increase. You're supposed to have high cortisol in the morning. That's when your cortisol is naturally supposed to be the highest, so it can help wake you up. But if your blood sugars are really low at 2 in the morning, your cortisol comes up and you're wide awake. So if you are a person currently struggling with waking up 2, 3 in the morning every day, with those racing mind, you can't go back to sleep, 2 things encourage you to really start following the balance rules. Protein first, then add your carbohydrate. If that doesn't work, when you wake up, have a little balanced snack. I bet you're back to sleep within a half hour. A lot of my clients do it all the time, and I know that sounds counterintuitive for people that have weight loss goals, but your body is not a bank account, it's a biochemistry lab. The best time for you to lose weight is when you're sleeping. So if you're never sleeping, hard to lose weight.
So this is pretty eye-opening for me because I always blame waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning.
On menopause. As she said that she often would hear that waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning is due to menopause more than to imbalanced blood sugars. There are hormonal shifts that can happen, but I'd encourage you to give this a try because and to see if it's a blood sugar. There are other things that can cause it, but a lot of my clients that are in menopause, this doesn't care. So, because your hormones do change, cortisol and adrenaline are part of your whole hormone picture. If it's a hot flash thing, night sweat thing, that might be a little bit different scenario. But oftentimes, hot flashes and night sweats can be helped by balancing your blood sugars better throughout the day. Because oftentimes it's a surge in cortisol. So, good point. So any questions on this? And the reason why is because carbohydrates increase your blood sugar and proteins decrease your blood sugar. So when you put them together, you get much more of an even blood sugar response. So it doesn't go high or low. So that's why she said you have better energy. So the three things that I hear from clients that are eating real food and balancing their blood sugars is their cravings are better, their energy is better, and their bloating is better, like digestively. You know, you feel kind of puffy a lot. And that's usually from cleaning up and eating more real food instead of some of the processed foods.
Just recently, I went through a funk, and I started setting my alarm clock and getting up, making myself get up at 7 in the morning. Otherwise I'd sleep till 11 in the morning and then get up and the day was sharp. So I try to get to bed by 10 and then get up by 7. What I have is I have a bowl of oatmeal, a piece of toast with butter and peanut butter on it, and yogurt. It's very for dinner.
Let's talk about that. Okay, so for this dinner, you said?
No, for breakfast.
For breakfast. Okay, so a bowl of oatmeal. Is oatmeal protein, carb, or fat? Carb. You had toast. Is toast a protein, carb, or carb? Butter, fat. And then what kind of yogurt do you have here?
Plain.
Plain, what type of yogurt?
The Ghana.
Okay. So it's a non-Greek yogurt. The protein value in that is going to be fairly low, probably like 6 to 7 grams per serving. So if we look at that, is she in general in line? You know, did she have a little bit of protein in the
Peanut butter.
And the peanut, but where's peanut butter fall? Fat. It's actually mostly fat. So I would still say that that's a pretty carb heavy, gram wise, carb heavy with a decent amount of fat and then just a little bit of protein.
But see, the thing is, I'm also gluten free too, so I have to be careful, you know, like certain things like that. So what would you suggest? I also have a banana as well.
So that's actually more carbs.
Okay,
So
so,
pretty carb heavy,
so.
pretty big meal. So what could we do to what'd you say? Eggs. Yeah, adding eggs is always, that's always a good idea. And then something called gelatin, that if you want to get all the details about gelatin from the first class, I have a whole segment on it, but Dustin's gelatin is a great way to add gluten-free protein to even to oatmeal. So some of my clients who really like oatmeal with maple syrup in it and some raisins, which is all carbs, that's going to jack your blood sugar up. You can add some gelatin powder to it to help balance out your protein carb ratios with that. So gelatin is something that's very anti-inflammatory, very easy to use, and all the details on that are going to be in that first video that you'll get to. It's a great solution to something to helping balance. But the other idea with this too is it's good to start out your day with a good breakfast, but also eating consistently throughout the day, like a couple snacks. And I always tell people they know if they still need snacks if they get home and they're eating their house. You know what I mean? Meaning that like you cannot wait to get home and you rip open the cabinet doors and you can't stop. That's a sign that your blood sugar is too low and that you need to eat snacks during the day. I have some clients that have been following this for a long time and they only maybe need one snack, like a morning snack, or depending on what time you get up. The biggest things I say is always eat before you work out. We suggest that, but I it's just like if you're working out early in the morning and you don't eat, exercise is stress on the body. You guys know it does increase adrenaline and cortisol. So just think if you're going to exercise and you're driving your vehicle without any fuel in it, it further increases your stress hormones, and you're more likely to get injured when your stress hormones are jacked up. Too. So really important that you eat and that you keep your blood sugars level stable throughout the day. As part of that follow-up email, I'm going to give you a ton of meal and snack ideas and links right to the recipes on my blog that are connected to that. So it'll all be in that big email. And in my cookbooks, I also try to, I think there's over 100 different meal and snack ideas that are already balanced for you with protein, carbs, and fats, so you don't have to worry about thinking about it. This, literally has transformed people's lives by following this equation. Do you have questions? Does anyone have questions about this? Yeah.
So if you're working out at 5:30 in the morning, I don't tend to want to eat before that. Afterwards would be fine. But how much is enough if you were to try and put something on the workout like that?
Yeah, Shan, how much, if you're working out at 5, who wants to eat at 5 in the morning, that sounds horrible. What is enough? I mean, even, and I know, I don't want Dustin to get mad at me for saying this. I'm not a huge juice fan, but a pure 100% just grape juice, I'm talking like 4 ounces. So that's only giving you about 10 grams of carbs, just a tiny, tiny bit, or even 2 ounces with the gelatin powder. That goes really light on a lot of my athletes or people that are working out with their stomach. So I'm not promoting juice, Dustin, but I mean, just in the just to get your blood sugar up so that you can have a workout and add the gelatin powder. I mean, even if it's just a couple bites of gelatin and applesauce, we just need to get your metabolism and that energy from somewhere. This would be the only time pre-workout that I'd say a little bit like a half a banana in some sort of carb alone, like a fruit. I'd rather you do that than do nothing. But I think we can get a little protein in, or even just a few bites of Greek yogurt, something just to get your system going. Does that help? So it doesn't have to be this huge meal. You gave me Dustin.
Sounds good.
It's like no juice. Well, just a
As long as
little.
you can handle a little juice.
What?
I said, as long as you can handle a little juice.
Yeah.
If juice is in my place, I'll drink the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, he's talking about, if it's I do it, I have a client too that's like a binge thing for her. So always, if it's not, if you can handle just a little bit, apparently Dustin can.
I'll drink a half a gallon a day. Right.
So if you can just handle a little bit, that would be a good suggestion. With the gelatin powder, I think it's a great balance. The gelatin will help with your recovery too, which is really good. Okay. Any other questions about balancing your blood sugars and your hormonal response to food? I just want to say one more time, you are not a bank account. I want you to say that I am not a bank account. You're not. You're a biochemistry lab. So your body responds hormonally to how you eat and think. Bottom line. Your body responds hormonally to how you eat and think. So if you're thinking negative stuff, your body's going to respond to that. Like fear, for example, creates a hormone response. If you're eating junk and if you're eating out of balance, your body's going to have a hormone response. But I want to tie this just really quickly back to how we think about food. So say that you do have, I try to teach my clients 80-20. Like eat healthy stuff. But if you have something, how do you think we should think about it if we do have a treat?
It's not a treat.
It's a treat. Enjoy it. Be grateful for it. So if I'm sitting there eating, I like chocolate. I'm gonna have chocolate a couple times a week. I sit there and enjoy it, and I'm thankful for it. But just imagine if you're thinking about, oh my God, if I eat this chocolate, I suck. I'm, all these guilty, negative thoughts about yourself. Do you think your body might respond differently than if you're just thankful for it? So that's how this can play into. I don't want you guys thinking if you don't eat the perfect healthy diet that you need to feel guilty, because our thoughts matter. So let's just be thankful and let's enjoy a treat once in a while, because then that makes this not a diet.
Question, so when we do have a planned treat like that,
Yeah.
is it important to balance the treat as well?
In an ideal world, sure, but chocolate's got a lot of fat in it. So thank you for that. This is
So
it.
the apple pie needs to have the ice cream.
You have to have cheese with your apple pie. Cheese, I always get, if I want a glass of wine, can I just add gelatin? I don't know, probably make it less. But yeah, you know, if people are gonna have a treat, you know, I encourage it to not do something really crazy, spiking your blood sugars one way or the other, because then you're more likely to want more. So if you do it around a meal with some protein, your body usually responds better, but sometimes I just have a piece of chocolate. Okay, so what's the point to come here if you don't do anything, right? So I want you to take some time and I want you to write one thing that you're going to commit to doing based on what you learned tonight. And again, for people who don't like to do this kind of stuff, I want you to do it anyway. Either write it down or think about it. What is one thing that you're going to commit to doing based on what you learned tonight? One thing in order to lower your stress or change your thoughts about your stress. We're passing out some sheets. Is anyone willing to share what they're committing to? So if you say it out loud, you're much more likely to do it.
Plan my day before it begins.
Plan your day before it begins. Okay, great.
List of 3 things that I'm happy about.
Yeah, she's gonna do the 3 things she's happy about. Awesome. Get some perspective. Gonna do some FWP, huh?
Yeah,
That's great.
Not allow my daughters to play.
Not allowing someone else's situation to control you. Yeah. Things you can't change, right? How much worrying do we spend on things that we can't change? Yeah.
Tomorrow morning when I do my swim lesson, I'm not going to compare myself to Linda, who's about 80, who can swim better than me. I can be really frustrated, but I'll compare to how I was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. So that's gonna stop
She's
comparison.
been swimming for a long time.
Because I mean, I think that I'm glad you brought that up because comparison in this country, how often does comparison steal your joy? All the time. You know, I had a client she told me that she was so excited because she had got to spend the whole weekend. A bunch of her girlfriends flew in from all over the country
Oh, cool.
and got to just hang out and they were at a spa. And she's like, honestly, the whole day, guess what I was thinking about? How big my thighs are. And I just like how much I hate my body. And how that just like stole like her weekend of like spending time. That's what her mind was focused on. And so that comparison can just really rob us of a lot of joy in our life and in moments that we should be sharing and treasuring. So anybody else want to share? Take 2 more.
I like the idea of writing something down before going to bed. Get it off your mind.
Get it off your mind. Yeah, so writing that stuff down, getting out of your brain space so that you can just rest. Great, I'm glad that helped. Anybody else?
I can read one from online. I like
Yeah.
water my tree with positive thoughts.
Water your tree, yeah.
I like that.
I love thinking as the brain is a tree and that we have the ability to choose what we think about. It's pretty powerful. All right, so tonight was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And before you guys would go today, and those of you online, I'll be sending this in an email out tomorrow, but I just wanted to give you some offers on some stuff that I've got going on. I was talking about real food in the grocery store and 47,000 foods, crazy. I do a grocery store tour that shows you exactly what foods follow the Great Grandmother Rule. It's actually very few. We're doing one on October 20th on Sun Prairie. For those of you who live in I did change it. Oh, yeah. Well, I meant to say November 20th. And I'm not stressed about it because you know what? It wasn't any of tomorrow. Yeah, so thank you for pointing that out to me. So that's the wrong date on there. But yeah, we've got one coming up November 20th, before Thanksgiving, before the holidays, to kind of, and actually I think it's the 12th even. This is totally wrong. So just look at that email tomorrow. Just ignore this. I also have a DVD set that teaches you all about nutrition, how to walk this out. It's an at-home study course that I'm giving a discount to you guys tonight on. And I also work with people one-on-one. So if you're having some health concerns and want some personalized coaching, I've got some stuff on sale here for you. And if you just want more information from me to see if we'd be a good fit, I do free 20-minute consult. So just hit me up for that. We can talk and see if I think I can help you. But whether it's coaching or nutrition, I just encourage you that even if I never see you again, to really take some of the stuff seriously that I taught you, because I've seen it change people's lives over and over, which is really exciting. That's why we love what we do. So Dustin's going to come up and he's going to talk a little bit about a couple things he's got.
Give Tracy a round of applause. I've written about it before, but I kind of forgot about it. We focus a lot on weight loss, which is a negative thought, right? Losing something. So instead of focusing on weight loss or other things that we're losing, diets, focus on what we're eating. So I think that's just a really good way to focus, because weight loss is generally a result of other things. It's not the symptom. So so we're focusing on gaining energy or eating the right foods to be healthier. Those focuses are moving the body more. Those are more of a positive than a loss. So something to think about if you're always consumed about losing sort of thing. So for those of you guys who were here last time I was here, I'm going to kind of give the same quick little pitch here. She mentioned the collagen just a little bit. We almost sold it last time we were here, but this is only $40. It's 82 servings. It's tasteless, odorless. It dissolves in pretty much anything. Cold water is a little bit hard, but I put it, I use 2 scoops a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. It's good for joints, hair, fills you up, balances your blood sugars and stuff, and it's from pasture-raised beef as well, so it's good. $40, and you can get that on the order form there. You can just pay cash or check as well for that. And then a couple other things I like to reward you guys for coming in. I got coordinated these 8 workouts, 15 minutes long on the ball to just really focus on mostly the core, but a little bit total body, low impact. Normally the 30 here, so I'm for 20 tonight. And the last one, booming bodies, kind of more for 50 plus or kind of beginner, lower impact. There's 2 full body workouts. All you need is a set of dumbbells and a ball. And normally it's 40, and we're selling for 25 tonight. And I think that was, then the foam rolling. So foam rolling, who has foam rolled before? Okay, most of you guys have. So it's basically like deep tissue massage. It helps you loosen your body up, recover, move better. Just a really quick story talking about stress. About 2.5 months ago, I got a phone call from a lawyer saying they're suing me for this. And basically, the largest foam rolling company out there got bought out by a larger company, and they're suing everyone with a hollow foam roller with any sort of non-smooth surface. I don't sell enough of these things to really care that much about it, but I was annoyed by it. So anyways, we can't have any more. So this is now a limited edition. So buy a lot of these. I've got 330 left total. And once they're gone, they're gone. So $30 for these tonight. And there's on the wrapper, inside the wrapper, we've got a URL to a bunch of videos, on how-to videos on how to roll your entire body. If you're at the Transformation Center, I love to show people how to use it. So.
And they're still on Amazon too,
They're
right?
still, yes, on Amazon. Yeah, that's where most of them are right now. We've only got a few here. Yeah, so on Amazon for another week or 2 before I have to pull them off. So I had a 3-month contract thing. I had to get them off in 3 months. So anyways, yes, you can pick these up, Fit Moms, foam rollers, or something like that. You can find it easily. So that's the end of my pitch. Thanks so much for coming out tonight, you guys. Great to see you. If you have any questions for Tracy, she'll be over there. Can't recommend enough all of her programs, products, coaching with her. She dives deeper into the areas that she talked about today than myself and probably most of our coaches. This is what she does every single day. So, again, thanks for coming out. Hang out as much as you want to. You have your order forms for our stuff. My team's going to be in the other room there, a smaller room, and you can just bring it over there, and they'll take care of it. Kelly and maybe Emily as well. All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, hang out, take your time. Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm just going to walk away from the crowd for a moment to close out. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us tonight. We will send everything out via email. Tomorrow. So all the links to Tracy's offers, and we will send some information on are interested in, you know, the DVDs that Dustin mentioned. I would be happy to mail those out since you came to the webinar tonight. Just let me know. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Lynn. And thanks for putting up for the, with the sketchy audio and all that. I really, again, appreciate your patience there. So have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy, and we will talk to you soon. My pleasure to do the online. I'll try to find a better mic for next time. So we'll work on that one. All right. Take care, y'all. Have a great evening.